This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
70 years. That's 3 generations. Of all the amazing projects we've been involved with, I'm often most proud of the affordable housing communities Ovation has developed and operated in the last 12 years. The need for affordable units in Nevada is well documented. There's currently a shortage of over 85,000 units, meaning that many Nevada residents are paying more than 50% of their income in rent or unable to afford safe and secure housing. Although I've been fortunate to grow up in a nice home, I've seen firsthand how others struggle to pay their rent. When Capriccio is finished, residents who qualify will be able to live in this beautiful community with many amenities for 40% less than the market rate. These affordable housing developments are more than just shelter. They are really home. These communities truly change lives, giving residents a sense of belonging, and act as a nexus of services that enable them to live with pride, dignity, and independence. With the help of the Governor's Office, the Nevada Housing Division, private developers, and lenders, Nevada has produced 5,200 affordable units in the last 3 years. Although that is an honorable achievement, the only thing holding us back from providing even more quality affordable housing is money. This is where the Home Means Nevada initiative will have a huge impact. This initiative will help us build countless more communities just like this one. And with the help of elected officials, we can continue to improve our wonderful state. Before I close, I want to thank HUD Deputy Secretary Adrian Todman and each of the elected officials who have taken their time from their busy schedules to be here today. As I name them, please hold your applause till the end. They are from the Nevada State Assembly, Assemblywoman Brittany Miller, Assemblywoman Sandra Howdy G, Assemblyman Steve Yeager, Assemblywoman Venetia Considine, Assemblywoman Elaine Marzola, Assemblywoman Danielle Monroe Moreno, Assemblyman Cameron C.H. Miller, Assemblywoman Rochelle Nguyen, Assemblyman Tom Roberts. From the Nevada State Senate, Senator Nicole Conosauro, Senator Roberta Lange, Senator Marilyn Dondera-Luke. Also, Attorney General Aaron Ford, State Treasurer Zach Conine, Congresswoman Susie Lee, Congresswoman Dina Titus, Congressman Stephen Horsford, and Clark County Commissioner Justin Jones. So it is my honor and great pleasure to introduce the Governor of the State of Nevada, Governor Steve Sisolak.
Oh, I just lost my remarks. That would have shortened this up a little bit. Thank you, Jess. This is the first time I've gotten to appear with Jess. I'm usually here with his dad when we do these projects, but it appears that the torch is being passed to the next generation, and we're proud to have you as a partner in our affordable housing mission. Good morning, everyone, and Jess, thank you so much for that kind introduction, and a real special thanks to Ovation for hosting us today for the future home of Capriccio by Ovation, a senior affordable housing community. I'm excited to be here today to officially launch the start of Home Means Nevada Housing Initiative. As I look out over the crowd gathered here today, I'm struck by the breadth of partners who have come together in support of this important initiative. We have representatives from the federal level, the state, county, and city governments, as well as business and community partners joining with us. I know that you all share the same understanding that I do. Housing is an immensely complex issue and a critical priority for me and for the state of Nevada and all the elected officials you see here. That's why during my State of the State speech, I announced $500 million Home Means Nevada Housing Initiative to lower the cost of housing, help people stay in their homes, and invest in good paying jobs for Nevadans. This project alone is helping support at least 200 construction jobs before it opens in 2023. And those jobs are important. Those jobs keep food on the table and a roof over the head of our workers. This initiative is the single largest investment in housing in our state's history and builds upon the incredible investments we've already made in the past 3 years. In that time, the state has created over 4,700 affordable housing units, as well as preserving or constructing 2,800 apartments that will be completed in 2024. The state's programs have also helped many first-time homeowners by providing down payment assistance for over 8,000 Nevadans. We all recognize that as we build back better from this pandemic, and as more people continue to move to Nevada, it's also imperative that we do all we can to ensure many Nevadans as possible have access to affordable housing. This is only the start. This is the beginning. In the last decade, more than 400,000 people have moved into Nevada. In that same amount of time, the median price of a single-family home in our state has risen twofold to over $450,000. While I've been focused on this since I came into the governor's office, Nevada still has a deficit of more than 84,000 available and affordable units for extremely low-income Nevadans. This includes seniors, veterans, and those with disability conditions, and many working families. No one can solve this crisis alone, and there are extraordinary obstacles we need to work through to make this happen. But with the help of committed people across the state, government agencies, nonprofits, developers, corporate partners, and so many more, we're going to move forward as fast as we can. Nevadans are depending on us, and I know that together we can help solve this crisis. I want to thank the members of Nevada's federal delegation who are here with me today, who supported the American Rescue Plan, the funding that is making this initiative today possible. We'll hear from some of them shortly. I want to briefly recognize the members of our local governments who have been working on this priority as well, and who will be critical partners so we can keep projects moving forward. On the state side, I'm also grateful to Director Terry Reynolds and his team, particularly Steve Acroft, Dr. May Worthy-Thomas from the Nevada Housing Division, for their diligent work to bring all the partners to the table. This doesn't happen by chance. Finally, I want to thank my partners in the Nevada legislature, particularly those who sit on the Interim Finance Committee, and just last week, approved the first $250 million of the Home Means Nevada initiative. So we could be here today for this launch. Thank you all very much. Without you, it would not have been possible. I'm grateful they also recognize the immense need in our communities and share in my urgency to continue prioritizing access to affordable housing for all Nevadans. Because of this vote, today I am so proud to announce that the state is ready to begin accepting pre-applications for new projects. Applications are now live on NevadaRecovers.com. That's NevadaRecovers.com. If you're a developer and you've got a shovel-ready project, we want you to partner with us and help us transform these dollars into housing units, like the ones you're being seen constructed behind us. If you have local projects in the works, let us partner with you to get them over the finish line quickly. We are ready to go, and we know that you are too. Before I turn over the microphone to a very special guest speaker, I want to tell you a quick story about Marlene O'Neill. I met Marlene last summer in Reno while touring the Vintage at Sanctuary Affordable Housing Complex in Reno. I hope she won't mind me sharing that she's 75 years old, and she lost her home last summer when the Calder fire ripped through the area surrounding Lake Tahoe. She really struggled in the immediate aftermath, but eventually her daughter helped her find a new, affordable housing option. During the roundtable, Marlene shared with us that she's been experiencing PTSD because of this incident. My heart broke for Marlene. But she also told us, I'm living proof that you can get somewhere where you're safe and comfortable. You just have to keep going. You have to keep trying. Getting connected to safe and affordable housing helped save Marlene's life. It brings tears to your eyes to hear from her. I hope Marlene's story sticks with you like it stuck with me. The work we're doing together is critically important. Getting just one more person into a home, or keeping one more family in their home, is what this is all about. It's what we're here for. It is what our mission is. Projects like the one that we're standing at also bring good paying jobs to people desperately in need of jobs that just want a hand up, and we can provide those jobs to them through these projects. The possibilities of this initiative are endless as long as we stand united, united in our goal to get every Nevadan into an affordable housing situation. Thank you for your partnership here today, and thank you for being here today. Serving as governor of this great state is the honor of my lifetime. It truly is. Now it is my privilege to introduce Adriana Todman, who serves as a Deputy Secretary for the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. As Deputy Secretary, she is working every day alongside Secretary Fudge to ensure that HUD has the staff and the tools it needs to administer and provide oversight to programs critical to supporting families and moving our country forward. We are honored to have the federal government represented here as a partner in this critical work. Deputy Secretary, thank you very much for joining us today.
Bring the microphone down just a wee bit. Just a tad. Nobody will notice. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Governor, for that very kind introduction. It is great to be here in Nevada. And I see some old friends here. Louis, good to see you, and I'm looking forward to making some new friends doing my tour as your Deputy Secretary. Governor, I just want to let you know that from the cab ride last night from the airport to getting my coffee this morning, the Nevada hospitality is alive and well. Everybody was right on it, was very, very comfortable being here in your great state. And whenever I see and run into folks as I'm traveling, like the cab driver last night, and like the person who served my coffee this morning, I always say to them, how are things going? You know, how are you doing? Inevitably, it always comes down to their housing costs or someone's housing costs in their family. Inevitably, to your point, that the need is great. And I do that because it's important to listen to what the people are saying to you and to ask them the right questions. And it sounds like, Governor, that you did the same thing. I heard that you had a listening session in your Nevada Recovers to hear what the people wanted, and this investment is indicative that you heard what they say. So you should be congratulated for that, Governor. Congratulations. I also want to thank the state legislature. Like you said, you can't do it with your partners who bring you at the dance. And so congratulations to you all. It takes courage and it takes foresight to know what needs to happen. So I thank you, and let's applaud their leadership as well. And the tagline, "Home means Nevada," is simple and elegant in what it's communicating. If you love Nevada and you want to stay, home means Nevada.
I gotta help you, because everybody's looking at me. It's Nevada. Okay, it's Nevada.
Nevada.
You're an honorary Nevadan for today, right here. So
Nevada.
Thank you.
Nevada.
There you go. Thank you. Okay, everybody, we got it.
Home means this great state we're in.
That's
How about that?
right. Thank you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. But that's the way to do it. You really want to get something that's simple and elegant and communicates where you're going. You know, before I assumed this position, I used to build stuff. I used to run a local housing agency, and so having the hard hat on and looking at what's behind me is very familiar, very familiar. And I think you and your team got it right. You need to build, but you also need to preserve. You need to take care of the units that you have. We can't afford to lose anything. And so I think that having the 1-2 punch of building new affordable housing, but also preserving what we have, investing in home ownership. The Secretary Fudge, is a pleasure to work with her. Let me just say, she is one of the biggest housing champions in Washington, D.C., and a fabulous, fabulous person to work with. She's a strong proponent in making sure that our families have access to home ownership so they can build generational wealth. So you should be rewarded for that as well. You know, we've come a very long way since the start of the pandemic. And this president, President Biden, and our vice president knew last year the investment that needed to happen to make sure that our states and our localities were made whole. And they fought every single day for every town, city, every main street, every small business, everyone who was still struggling because of the impact of the pandemic. And that gave birth to the President's American Rescue Plan. And I'd really like to thank the wonderful members here who helped support that plan. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much. And the plan puts people first and invests in our communities. These funds restored and preserved government services, bolstered the pandemic response, and helped people pay their rents and mortgages, and did so much more, including what it's doing here in this great state of Nevada.
There you go.
Where it's going to fund the thing that is most fundamental to us, which is home. It's our homes. You know, you all are doing a bold and courageous thing today. Not every state is taking the step you are. And the fact that this is a historic investment just puts the icing on the cake. You know, HUD is proud to serve as an ally in every effort to make sure that every person has a secure and permanent home, here and everywhere across the United States. And the President and the Secretary's budget that was released a couple of weeks ago are a testament to that. We are planning to invest $50 billion, another historic moment, to make sure that we have affordable housing across this country. We're at a critical time. I've been in the housing business for a very long time, and that number is historic in and of itself for those of you who've been along that journey with me. We're at a critical time in our nation, and these investments matter. It matters to us here now, it matters to our kids, and it matters to their children. I want to thank you for the invitation to be here. Greetings again from the Secretary and the entire Biden administration. This is really good stuff, and I can't wait to come back and see what more you all build. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I think we've got Congressman Titus, right? Yeah.
Well, thank you, Governor, for that introduction.
She says Nevada perfect, though, I gotta tell you.
Even if it's with a little southern accent. Thank you, Governor, for your leadership in this issue that has long plagued Nevada, a lack of enough affordable housing. And Madam Secretary, we're delighted that you came out to share this moment with us. Home Means Nevada is also our state song, but I'm not sure you want to hear this crowd singing.
Sure, why not?
You also mentioned Marcia Fudge, our secretary. We are delighted that she's there too, but we really miss her in the house. She was a good friend, and so give her our regards. To the Mulaski family, I know how long you've been working in these projects, and you have several all across the valley, including one off the Boulder Highway in District 1, so thank you for your work. And other distinguished guests who are here, what a beautiful day it is to celebrate a project that we have and many others don't. You know, we talk about Nevada being at the top of every bad list and at the bottom of every good list. Well, you heard some of the statistics, and we do have a problem with accessibility to affordable housing. But we also are doing more about it. So this is one day we're at the top of the good list. You know, this problem with affordable housing existed long before the pandemic actually hit us. But once it did, we found that the most vulnerable are those who need the most help, and housing is the beginning of that recovery. It helps the community recover as well as individuals recover. You think about it, if you don't have a home, the psychological impact on you and your family is tremendous. If you don't have a home, where are you going to do your homework if you are in school? And if you don't have a home, how do you then go out and get a job? All of these social factors are related. So having a place with a roof over your head and a place to put down roots and a place as lovely as these units really will make a difference for the people who are hit the hardest by COVID. We're recovering. Nevada is one of the fastest recovering states in the country after being one of the hardest hit in the country. We had the highest unemployment, 35%. Now we've gotten that down, but we still are ahead of most places in the country. I'm pleased that as chair of the Economic Development Committee, I was able to fight for putting that unemployment in the formula along with population. And the result of that is we got $1 billion extra that we would not have gotten otherwise. So, thank you. And I thank my colleagues, Representative Horsford and Representative Lee, for their support on that effort. So the money is there, the will is there, the concern and compassion are there. So I'm delighted. You all I know are supportive. You've made this happen. It doesn't take one person, it takes a whole team, and I think Nevada's got the best team. Home does mean Nevada. I'd now like to welcome to the stage or to the podium or to the microphone Representative Susie Lee. You are in her district here, so I know she's proud of this unit.
Thank you, Congresswoman. It's really an honor to be here. I want to first recognize just how significant this investment is and this project is. I want to congratulate Jess and the Ovation team and the Mulaski family, who's had a long tradition of development in southern Nevada. This unit represents 195 units with an average rental around $800 per month, really focusing on seniors. And I think all of us who serve the public can remember many times during this past year having seniors and low-income families call us complaining about seeing their rents increase and not knowing what they were going to do. And so not only is this solving that problem, also a special shout out to Coordinated Living of Southern Nevada, who will also do some wraparound services here on site, which is such an important component when you're talking about seniors and making sure they have access to those services right where they live. And then finally, this is right in the middle of Congressional District 3. I think we all hear people say, there's so much land out there, we need to build right in the middle of these neighborhoods, and that's exactly what we're doing. And so this to me is really an incredible project, and I'm so proud that it is in my congressional district. We've lived through the past 2 years, and I'd say it started off with a whole hell of a lot of bad news. Our unemployment rate was 34%. We were afraid we were going to lose thousands of businesses. But we came to the rescue. In Congress, we started off with the Families First Act, then the CARES package, and then, of course, the American Rescue Plan, which delivered $4 billion to the state of Nevada. Thank you. But that money is only one part of the equation. It really takes a true partnership, and to have a true leader like Governor Sisolak, who recognizes the needs in our communities. And really, the great thing about Nevada is, first of all, people want to move here, which is what's driving a lot of our costs up and cost of housing, but also that we're adaptable, that we can see a problem, we can pull the key people together and solve the problem, and that's exactly what the Home Means Nevada initiative did. So special shout out to the governor, of course, our legislature, Justin Jones, who's always a partner with me in our district, county commissioner. And then I have to give a special shout out to our state treasurer, Zach Conine, who really was instrumental in helping the governor in addressing how we get this money out to and addressing the true needs here. I want to say that when you look at the Home Means Nevada initiative, the thing I think I like most about it is it's a whole approach. we 300 million to develop up to 1,700 rental units, 130 million to preserve and rehab up to 3,000 units, 40 million to buy land, and another 30 million to help people afford housing. It really does address the whole magnitude of what we're seeing on the ground here in Nevada. So, we were met with some bad news. During the course of this pandemic, we've been able to save businesses, get people back to work. Our unemployment now is 6%. We've gone through the waves of the pandemic, and I must say that this is a good piece of good news for the future of Nevada, that we can take this American Rescue money and put it to work and make sure we're solving real problems facing Nevadans, and so they can stay here and enjoy this great state. So thank you all, and with that, I'll recognize my colleague, Stephen Horsford.
Thank you, Susie and Dina, and to all of my colleagues. It's great to be here. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is the type of event I like to be at. One that is helping to solve a problem and that is finding solutions to make sure that we meet the needs of people. I want to thank Deputy Secretary Todman for being here today, and please do extend our regards to Secretary Marcia Fudge, who is a dear friend and a former colleague and someone who is a champion for all of housing. To Governor Sisolak for your steadfast leadership. I know your vision in bringing this Home Means Nevada initiative forward, led by your values and convictions, along with the state legislature that made sure the votes were there to put the resources where they're needed the most. I also want to commend our affordable housing advocates across Nevada for their tireless efforts to ensure that everyone can access safe and affordable housing. A lot of times we don't put the people who are closest to the pain or the problem at the center of the policy. And with the voices of the affordable housing advocates, Governor, you made sure that they were at the table in the formation of this. Now, as we have stated, affordable housing is a real crisis right now, and one that touches on the lives of so many Southern Nevadans in one way or another. And we do need to act with a sense of urgency to address all of the issues that are facing our Nevada families, including the spike in rental housing prices, which have increased an astounding 30% in Las Vegas since the last year, and which has left far too many of our constituents wondering what will happen if they can no longer afford these rapidly escalating rents. That's why this initiative, along with other investments throughout our community, Home Means Nevada to us. If you're a senior, home means not having to worry how you're going to stretch your Social Security check to cover your rent and still be able to eat. If you're a family that is struggling, home means providing a place for your children to grow and thrive. If you're a person who is living on the streets, home means having a safe place to lay your head. At a time when families are burdened with the rising cost across the board, I want those Nevadans to know their governor is putting federal dollars to work for them to help solve problems throughout our community. The Home Means Nevada initiative is precisely what the state should be doing with the American Rescue Plan funding, which my colleagues here and I supported, and I was proud to pass during the darkest moments of the COVID-19 pandemic. Over the course, the situation we face today is very different from just over a year ago. We desperately need this $250 million that has been approved by the Interim Finance Committee to help kickstart investment in our communities, rehabilitate our crumbling housing infrastructure, and to alleviate the pain for some of our neighbors most in need. And what is so important is embedded in this bill are provisions around equity. making sure that those who have been hit the hardest during this pandemic and the recession that followed are again at the center of the recovery, and that we don't leave anyone or any community behind in that effort. So, Governor, I want to commend you along with my colleagues for putting us on this excellent path with the start of this initiative, and we know it's just the start. In order to make certain Nevada's affordable housing can provide low-cost rental options to our growing population, we need to guarantee continued funding for years to come. This is an undertaking that will require all of us. If we want to provide a solution to the affordable housing crisis, it will call for us to collaborate in new ways and forge innovative partnerships to tackle challenges as they rise. Not only do we need more of this kind of teamwork between federal, state, and local officials and the private sector, thank you to the Mulaski family, we will also have to bring in voices from the developers of affordable housing units, the advocates who work on this issue every day, and most importantly, the communities that we serve. We have been hearing a lot of talk about infrastructure lately, and I want to remind everyone here that housing is infrastructure. So thank you for the leadership that this initiative provides, along with the affordable housing credit provisions that also will be leveraged for future development. And I know together we're going to create a lot of great homes for a lot of great Nevadans. And now it's my pleasure to turn the mic over to our Senate Majority Leader, Nicole Conosauro.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's so great to be here with all of you, and I would be remiss if I didn't also thank the Congressman for the kind introduction. And it's really incredible, I think, to be here to acknowledge and to fulfill our promises that we are committed to making sure that Nevada comes back stronger than ever from the pandemic, and that we're delivering for real families and for Nevadans here in this beautiful Silver State. It's, of course, an honor to be here with you, Madam Deputy Secretary. Welcome to Nevada, my home state, and Las Vegas, my hometown. So this is all really personal for me, just like it is for so many of my constituents and for all of you. I, of course, want to thank our congressional delegation here with us today, Congresswoman Dina Titus, Susie Lee, and Congressman Horsford. We just couldn't do this without their support in Washington. And I think I would be remiss if I also didn't acknowledge that we have two really great senators in this state, Senators Cortez Masto and Rosen, who were also instrumental in ensuring that Nevada received funds to do exactly what we're here to commemorate today. I, of course, want to thank the governor, who has been just a wonderful leader and a great person to work with. And I want to thank you for working with the legislature on how best to spend these dollars to ensure that we really are helping Nevada families recover. You know, 2 years ago, I don't think any of us could imagine what would come on the heels of a global pandemic, or even what that might look like 2 years down the road. It was an enormous task to ensure that we could both tackle COVID and at the same time address all the consequences that have come as a result. With the leadership of Governor Sisolak, of course, we were able to keep Nevadans as safe as possible and to weather through what was truly an unknown storm. In the midst of all this, of course, Nevada, and I know some folks have talked about this already, was harder hit than a lot of other states. We're also on the fastest road to recovery, which is fantastic and something that I think we should all be really proud of. But it doesn't go without acknowledging that we did suffer a bit from that pandemic. And I remember that myself and other members of the legislature, and I see a lot of my legislative colleagues here today, saying, look, we need these American Rescue Plan dollars to come to Nevada. We need them to help with the recovery. We need them so that we can really support Nevadans here. And they delivered. You know, they heard those needs, they came to the table, and without their leadership, we wouldn't be standing here today, and we wouldn't be talking about how we're in one of the greatest recoveries across the nation. And so I'm proud to be here today with them. Of course, since we have received those dollars, we've been working to make sure that they are being utilized to help Nevadans And we know that one of those critical pieces is an investment in affordable housing. We have so many Nevada families who are struggling to find a place to live where they can afford to keep a roof over their head. And we know of too many seniors who are struggling to stay in their homes. And so again, I think that we can't ignore that. And it's something that truly does speak personally to me. You know, I come from a working family here in town. My parents were a waitress and a bartender. And I know all too well how hard it can be when you're looking at whether or not you're gonna have a place to live or you're gonna have a place for your kids to stay at night. That's a real struggle and a real issue. And to be here to say that we have made an historic investment in Nevada families, and in affordable housing, the kind of relief that comes with that comes with knowing that you have a roof over your head, is tremendous and more substantial than I think I could even put into words, or maybe any of us can put into words. And so I am truly proud to be here today, because I know just how hard that can be for Nevada families. This investment, this initial investment of $250 million, is something that you don't get to see every day. Being here to celebrate that is something that we don't get to do every single day. And so I just really want everyone to take a moment and think about what that means and what that really is going to mean for so many families here in Nevada. I want to again just say thank you for everyone in their teamwork and their leadership, and I think you've heard that today, that it wasn't just one of us, it was many of us, it was all of you. It's everyone who sits here, from the federal, state, local, all of my colleagues and advocates and people on the ground who are making this a real issue to champion, and something that we can find real solutions for. And sometimes that doesn't always feel like what you get to do in government, is find real solutions for real folks, and that's what we're doing today. And so I'm very proud to be here, and just want to thank you all for being here with us today to mark this occasion. I, of course, could not do this alone without the support of my colleagues in the legislature, and of course with our next speaker, Assemblyman and Speaker Pro Tem, Steve Yeager. And so while I don't have any donuts to hand out to you today, I do want to thank you for your leadership and welcome you up to the podium.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Senator, for that introduction. What a fabulous day for a celebration, and I'm very happy, Madam Deputy Secretary, that the wind let up, because if you were here a few days ago, it was pretty brutal. So this is as good as it gets here in Nevada, and reminds us all why we live in this great state for days like this. I am Steve Yeager. I represent Assembly District 9, which is in Southwest Las Vegas, which means you are in my Assembly District. So welcome to Assembly District 9. It is my pleasure to represent this area along with Senator Melanie Scheibel, who represents this Senate district. And man, this district has changed a lot in the last 10 years. And it's always exciting for me to drive down Fort Apache and see the development. And I want to thank Commissioner Jones as well. Construction is kind of a headache, but we are in desperate need of widening Fort Apache. So when you came down and saw those cones, it's going to be wonderful when it reopens. And so a couple things I want to say from the legislative perspective, and a lot of my colleagues are here. 2 years ago, we were up in session, and man, it was tough. We were in the midst of the pandemic, and we had really tough decisions to make when we were looking at a state budget that was no longer funded the way we had thought. And it was heartbreaking to us, and I think for a lot of us, those were dark days, and we didn't know how we were going to climb out of that darkness. And not just us as electeds, but our constituents felt that way as well. And so then what happens is our federal delegation comes into action. You know, we have an election in 2020, and under the leadership of President Biden, Speaker Pelosi, and Majority Leader Schumer, and our federal delegation, they're able to get this rescue fund money for us to help us with our budget woes. And I think that was a spotlight for us to show us how to get out of that dark tunnel. So I want to thank you for doing that, because those were some really, really tough days. And not just a spotlight to get out of that tunnel, but a spotlight to show us the kind of Nevada that we want to have going forward. Projects like this. So thank you so much to the federal delegation. I want to thank the governor for his vision to make this happen. You know, everything starts with the vision, and we had a lot of options for things we could do, but it was the governor, his team, and his leadership that brought this initiative, the Home Means in Nevada initiative, to the Interim Finance Committee. And I can tell you, one of the reasons the legislature was very comfortable with passing this is the folks in our state that are doing the work. So we have Director Reynolds here, we have Administrator Acroft, and I can tell you, I will put these two up against anybody in the country for affordable housing and housing. They are a wealth of knowledge, and we are giving them this money, and they're going to be doing all the work. So I want to say thank you in advance for that. And then you heard quickly, we do have some legislators here, and I want to just acknowledge that I think there are 6 of us here who serve on the Interim Finance Committee who voted in favor of this initiative, and I just wanted to recognize the 6 of them, because without that approval of the Interim Finance Committee, which happened just last week, we would not be sitting here. So you heard from Senate Majority Leader Conosauro, we have Assemblywoman Brittany Miller, Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno, Senator Dondero Loop, and Assemblyman Tom Roberts is here as well. So a round of applause for them. I'm mostly just excited about the difference this is going to make, projects like this in our community. It's the single largest investment in housing we've ever had in our state's history, and that is exciting. And I think it really does show what government should be about, and that's about helping actual people. And I think what you see here is a Nevada government that's working for people, because the partnership that we've had with the federal delegation, with the governor, with the legislature, we are delivering to help actual people on the ground. And so it's my desire, and I know it's all of our desires, to make sure that our constituents can continue to make sure that home does in fact mean Nevada, that they're able to stay here in this great state. So now we have something really, really exciting. I think this is my favorite part of the program. So I don't know if those of you that walked in saw behind me, but there is a white panel on this construction site, and there are a bunch of markers there. So to kick off this initiative, what we're going to do now is we're going to go and we're going to sign that whiteboard with those markers, which are actually going to become part of this project. So again, I want to thank you all for coming, and at this point would invite our folks up here, and Governor and Deputy Secretary, perhaps you can lead the way for the signatures, and then we're going to ask everybody here who wants to sign to come up and sign. So thanks again.
I'm Christy Molasky. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much. I should have known you. Hi, how are you? How are you?
You've been watching breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.